Joining me today is Dr. Wayne Lesperance, Professor of Political Science at New England College. Wayne, thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So, 48 hours since the election's over, about 6 minutes since we know who's won what seats. I got a number of questions about this, and I don't know whether to start down races and work up, or at the presidency and work down. So there's a lot to talk about.
There is.
Let's start at the presidency and work down. My first sort of observation is, boy, howdy, nobody thought this was happening.
Right.
How did we miss that?
That's a great question. I mean, after every election, there's sort of this post-mortem period where you try to figure out what happened. And one of the early takeaways is that the polling industry got it all wrong, that the media got it all wrong, that the campaign industry did not work in any recognizable way. Donald Trump did not run a presidential campaign that was recognizable by any measure of past campaigns. And so, like generals, political operatives are always fighting the last war. He did something very different. And so I don't have an answer for you other than to say this is what we will be focused on for the foreseeable future, really understanding these pieces. At least one early takeaway is that most pundits were saying that Donald Trump had a ceiling of about 40%. His vote total ended up being 48%. So somehow 8% of the country got missed by everybody, pollsters, media folks, analysts, whoever. We need to understand how that happened. And it seems to me that at least when it comes to polling, we may not have the right methodologies in place to actually ask enough of the right people, enough of a diverse cross-section of the country, what's going on and what do they think. Either that, or you'd have to buy into a conspiracy theory that says that about 8% of the entire country said, we're not going to tell the truth. We're not going to be honest about who we're going to vote for. And that's certainly a possibility.
Well, I mean, if you get polled, I don't know about you, but our house got poll calls 2-3 times a day, every day of the week. And at some point, if you're going to answer them, you might just say, that's it, tired of getting interrupted. Out of frustration, somebody might have given the exact opposite. I don't know if that happened at
8% of the whole country, though. That's the question. And so it would be the battleground states that got all those calls. So you're talking about places like Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Florida. These are the states that really pulled out big on election night in a surprising way. I think that I don't think there's any one answer to explain why Trump was successful. I think we're going to find that there are a lot of little things that added up. But at the end of the day, going into the election, he had to pull it straight, and he did. He pulled all the states that he had to do. And as the night progressed, you began by saying this is in the bag for Hillary. By the end of the night, I think a lot of folks just sort of looked at their television screen with their jaws hanging open, saying, "How did we get here?" And we're going to spend the next few years trying to sort that out.
Well, I mean, Wisconsin,
Michigan,
Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Yeah. 5 states that I would have said maybe he's got a chance to win some of them, but all 5 of those states,
Wisconsin hasn't gone for a Republican since 1984. There are districts in Wisconsin that haven't voted Republican since the Eisenhower administration, and he won that.
So what is it that drove those people? I mean, forget how we missed it.
Sure.
But what is it that drove that? Is it economics? Is it race? What are the dynamics of this?
Well, I think people will go to the polls for different reasons. But I don't accept the argument that this is somehow the emergence of this mass group of bigots and racists out there that are deciding to vote. I do think it's economics. I think Trump ran a very smart campaign when it came to using economic populism, basically saying, all of this globalization, all of this free trade, all of this activity in the world that we've been told year after year by both parties is great for the economy and is great for Americans. How do you feel? If you're in rural Wisconsin, you're in Upper Peninsula Michigan, how's that working for you? And a lot of Americans, it's not working for them. A lot of Americans are struggling. They're wondering how they're going to send their kids to college, how they're going to meet their monthly bills. And I think he spoke to them in a way that, for me, is reminiscent of Andrew Jackson. It's not about the fact that you're pro free trade or not. It's what's my reality when I wake up in the morning. How do I put food on the table? How do I take care of my kids? That's what Americans care about. It's all the pocketbook politics, right? And I think he spoke to them in a way that said the Washington crowd, right, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, they're not paying attention to you. Right? They don't care about your issues. And he pointed to Hillary Clinton, and probably the most effective thing he ever said was she had 30 years in Washington
to do something about
something, and now we're still talking about what she's going to do. So I think that resonated.
We have to stop talking about this right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk about what's going to happen in Washington. So please stay with us.